All right. So this is something I cook pretty regularly. I just call it protein rice, but essentially I do buy a higher protein rice nowadays. I get this nice local rice that's higher protein, but by cooking it with red lentils, I don't know why they call them red lentils, they're actually orange. And then when you cook them, they kind of get a little yellow. But the nice thing about the red lentils, this is what, in Indian or Nepali food, they make dal with, right? The lentil soup. It cooks quicker than the rice. And so it gets soft and it coats everything, coats all the rice. So basically all this is it's layering flavor and coating it on the rice along with the lentils. So I know when I have someone else cooking with me, I constantly slow them down. So feel free to tell me to slow down as I'm cooking. I'm making two versions. I'm going to make one in the rice cooker and then one in the pan. And then the rice cooker, I'll just use regular oil. And then with the pan, I'll use coconut oil. It doesn't really matter which one you use. This is how coconut oil is commonly done in the Caribbean. And you can see it's below 86 degrees where I'm at now, so it solidifies. And so, of course, you can't get it out of that. So I have some in a jar here that I can scoop out. So I have to heat this up above 86 degrees to then transfer it into a jar with a wider thing. One of the things that I add to this to make it even a higher protein, although I'm doing it less and less as I get more and more sensitive to soy, this right here is TVP, textured vegetable protein. This is soybeans cooked, then dehydrated, and these are little granules. I use this whenever I want to add protein to anything with moisture. And so the little granules, you don't have to marinate it very much. So you can literally add it directly to a soup or a chili versus they have ones that are bigger versions like, a chunk or even like a big steak. And you have to marinate them a lot longer because they're more big. But essentially, really all this is rice with lentils.
Do you rinse your rice and or your lentils?
I usually don't because I get really high quality. When I get the lower quality rice, I always do that because there's bits in it.
What is your high rice?
And what's that?
Which one is your high quality rice?
This is just regular rice.
Well, I have brown basmati.
Yeah, so this is brown basmati.
Okay.
But I'm a weirdo in that I've got like 7 different types of rice, and I'm just cleaning out the bottom of my bin of this particular rice so I can refill it at the bulk store. So I buy like a big here, let me grab a bin actually and show you. So I buy things in bulk. So let's see here if you can see this. So this is a bin, and you can see the last of the bulk rice here, and then this is the new higher protein local rice that I.
Well, what do you and a higher protein local rice? Come on, I mean, if you have rice, what is it's with a hull, I thought that's already the protein left in there. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, just different kinds of rice have different kinds of levels of protein. You just have to look at the, what do you call it, the nutrition facts. Now, myself personally, I really, really like garlic, and I have a local farmer who grows these elephant garlic. So this is just literally just one clove. Look how easy that peels. And so I personally like garlic. You do not have to do garlic. One trick, basically, I've been doing it in the rice cooker. I finally broke down and bought like a good quality stainless steel rice cooker because I kept buying the ones with the, what do you call it? The non-stick, and then they start peeling. So basically, you can do this. This is how I do the I don't know, the quick lazy thing is put some oil, and then I like the whole spices. So this right here is a little cumin. You can put caraway. You could put a couple peppercorns in there. Let's see what else you could put. Well, just any type of spice you like. I find that if I put the cumin like this, when you're eating the rice, you'll get little bursts of flavor. And then I'll also put a little cumin powder in it. But to get started with it, I'm going to fry this just in the rice cooker. You just put it in there and just start it. And then once it starts frying, I guess I need to plug it in. I was saving energy. Once it starts
So that's
frying,
like a saute function.
correct. The thing with it is it will not stay on. As soon as it reaches a certain temperature, it will shut off. Now, one way to impart flavor to your rice or your lentils for free is you fry them also. So what I like to do, I really like ginger and turmeric. And so if I'm making the rice just by itself, you end up with a yellow rice, right? Doing this. And then your favorite curry powder. One way, if you're not allergic to sesame, you could do this oil as toasted sesame oil, or put regular oil in there and put a little bit of sesame seeds in there and flavor the oil.
Yeah, be careful with toasted sesame oil. It's very strong.
So basically, you're trying to make this oil, you're choosing flavor. Now, I tend to try to make it pretty weak because I use this protein rice and I'll do like a stir fry to eat with it. So the stir fry, I'll end up putting a lot of flavors in. So while this is frying, I'm going to start this one frying too. And then this one, I'm going to have the coconut oil as the base for that one. Well, this I have to wash. This has been in storage. Good. And so this will be a bigger pan. The only reason I'm showing two different versions is, well, not everybody has a rice cooker. And then I also want to make a lot of it because I'm going to do my usual thing of making a lot of food, right? But when I personally do it, I just do this small batch. And you can't, in the rice cooker, just cook the lentils, because what'll happen there is you won't get, you could do it, but you wouldn't get like a soup. You would get like a mush because the rice cooker won't stop until the moisture is gone. So
Well,
as that's heating up.
What about whole red lentils? I have only whole red lentils.
Let me turn up the sound. With this on, I couldn't hear you. Say it again.
I have only whole red lentils.
Well, these are whole red lentils. What do you mean?
They're, that looks like they're already split.
Oh, you've got
I
a
got
different kind of lentil. This is not split. This is literally
the
the kind.
processed
They're just teeny. So these are unique in that because they're so small, they cook faster than the rice. And so literally at the end in the cooker, all you'll see is rice. So let me cut up some of this garlic. You can put onions in it. You can put garlic. You can put if you were just serving just the rice, you could put like about half, when the rice is about halfway cooked, you could add potatoes and carrots to give it some texture. But what I'm doing here, again, I just flavor the rice, which is good enough to eat plain, but also don't put tons of flavors because then I can add it to other dishes. So this is like my meal prep for the week. And I personally like big chunks, so I'm almost doing this like I'm doing onions. I don't know if you can see this right here. It's completely frying right now. Now that so there you go. Now the garlic is frying. Add some cumin. Ginger and turmeric. And this pan is so big, I can, so basically in the ingredients, if you look in the recipe, you basically want to have, slightly more rice than you have lentils. It's like these, someone asked in the chat, how is it possible to have such a single, this is elephant garlic. Technically, I'm told it's not a garlic, but it looks like a garlic and tastes like one, but it's usually much weaker. But I have a local organic farmer that I think he ended up crossbreeding this with regular garlic because it tastes like really strong. So it tastes just like garlic. And so I love it because, well, I guess I'm a lazy cook. I can get a lot of garlic very easily. And then, so if you look in there, you can see it's now all, oh, I just ripped my shirt. Toast. So now I'm toasting the rice and the lentils to give it a little more nutty flavor. Now in this one, in the little rice cooker, I actually usually measure that because I can very easily put too much in it. There you go. It just popped. Just like, see, it's like cook, pop. It's too hot now. So that's as hot as it can get there. So I'll actually measure. So I found in this little two cup rice cooker that if I do 1 cup of rice, 3/4 of a cup of lentils, and then the lentils themselves pretty much disappear. And then a 1/2 cup of TVP, it's perfect. Now, if you notice, that all adds up to more than 2 cups, but part of it is the lentils themselves really disintegrate. So let's see here. 3/4 of a cup. So in here, I've got a cup of rice, 3/4 a cup of lentils, and then I'll just put just a little bit of TVP. Now you don't have to put TVP if you don't want, but all right. So with this one, I'm making sure all of that is well coated. Let's see if it's cool enough to touch. So if you look here, we're getting all that oil, and you want to make sure all of that is well coated. That's all that flavor. And then you just cover it with water and cook it like normal. All that red will disappear. That's the lentils. So
What TVP stand for?
textured vegetable protein. It's really soybeans.
Mhm.
It's a cooked soybean and then they dehydrate it.
Mhm.
It's like a good substitute if you want to make a vegetarian chili or something like that, and you could use it instead of ground meat.
And most veggie burgers have textured vegetable protein and gluten. So in this one, if you look, I've caramelized the garlic on the bottom, and you could do that with onions as well. And then basically adding free flavor by toasting the rice and the lentils. And then once that, I'm gonna turn it all up. I'm gonna add a bunch of water, bring it to a boil.
So you boil the water, you do it by eye in there, or you have a certain measurement component there?
Say again?
Do you measure your water versus the other stuff? It looks like you do it just ad hoc.
Yeah, I mean, basically just like you normally cook rice, basically I found out that I tend to put too little water. And so what happens in here, if you make it, it can end up being more soupy. There's no problem with that. You basically have like a rice with a lentil soup. In the rice cooker, if you put, it'll just basically cook that water all the way. But you know, you basically want to have twice as much water as you have rice, just like you're cooking regular rice.
Well, isn't that 2 1/4?
It's just like matters how moist. I personally like this very, very dry. So it matters how moist and fluffy you want your rice. And again, like when this rice is about halfway cooked, you can add carrots and potatoes or other texture. But one thing about this is by having the cumin seed, you have a little texture. And then having the TVP, you have a little bit of texture instead of just plain rice.
And the exception to 2 water to 1 rice is when you use the Instapot. Then it's
So
a 1-to-1 ratio.
When I'm cooking it here, I'll do like not in the rice cooker, I'll do 3 times because you need the moisture for the lentils as well. And then, you know, I have the ability to shut this off when I want to shut it off. And so it could end up being a little more soupy. Also, the more you toast the rice, you can actually end up getting like the rice. So if you have too much water, rice tends to turn mushy, right? But if you fry the rice and toast it, it will hold that texture and soak in all the flavor of the extra water. And you don't have to worry.
Risotto. That's what you call risotto rice when you fry
Yep.
it.
There you go. And so With this,
And you're not covering this like normally you'd put
Oh,
a
I
cover on when you're making rice.
oh, I will. As soon as, basically, as soon as this starts simmering, I'll lower this down to the lowest setting and cover it. Part of it is I wanted you guys to see.
I
And
mean,
so that, you know, this one is covered. Wait. And you can put a lot of other spices. But again, I like to barely put any because I'll add spices later. So I mean, one trick in the winter, I just like using garam masala. You just put a little bit of that in there and it gives it the, you know, it has what the cinnamon and the coriander in it.
And black pepper, I think.
Right. Now, basically how I serve this while it's hot, I what do you call it? I'll put a couple tablespoons of ghee on the top of it and salt and pepper. You know, if I'm just eating it plain. Now it doesn't have any sour in it. So sometimes I will do like what do you call it? A vinegar sauce and eat it with that. But that's the thing is with this rice, it's savory, but it doesn't have like tons and tons of flavor. The main flavor of it is the caramelized and smoky flavor of like basically burning the rice and the lentils slightly. So let's see. And then you can always, let's see, this one goes here. And I used to put like a lot of these recipes I've seen called for putting in whole peppercorns. And every once in a while I'll do that because it's just, I don't know, it's a joy to be eating it and get that burst of peppercorn flavor as it's going along. So yeah, it's already starting to boil. So once it gets to a real rolling boil, I'll put the lid on, I'll lower it down to probably a 2. So it's just barely simmering, and then it tends to steam it more. But the lentils themselves, they'll disappear completely before. Now I've seen people do, when they're doing like savory rice like this, they'll put broth in it. But basically what we did with the garlic and the seasonings in the beginning and the oil is we created a broth, right? So some of that spice is making me choke. A friend of mine is in India right now, and they sent me pictures of the spice market in India and said they had to wear a mask because it was so intense, all the spices. So, all right. But you can see this lentils are already almost halfway cooked, just like that already. And the TVP has soaked up the water. I'm actually possibly going to have to add more water to this because I put all that TVP in there. This one I didn't measure, so. But any questions? I make this pretty regularly. And as you see, I didn't really measure the spices because I don't know, I kind of know my flavor spice levels. So, all right. Oh, my kitchen smells so wonderful with that coconut oil in there. All right, I think I'm just gonna do 3 on this one for now. And move this one a little closer, but I used to cook with like a lot of coconut oil. I still do, but when we had Deepa on our cooking show and she taught us how to make ghee, I've been like, just, you can put like this whole pan, you could put like 1 tablespoon of ghee in there and it would flavor the whole thing. It's so concentrated that it's absolutely amazing. So, but, and then I personally really like toasted coconut oil, but I'm actually out of that. So that doesn't happen too often. But now I can literally, well, on this one, I could set a timer of 20 minutes at a low simmer. Come on. There we go. And then it would just shut itself off. This one, it would shut itself off. I've kind of become addicted to when that happens. I can show you at the end, but basically it's going to look like, just going to look like rice, and all these orange lentils are just going to disappear. And so it'll look like yellow rice is all it'll look like, but it'll be really, really high protein. So, all right, any questions? That was a quick and easy one. That's when I do my meal prep. I'll make it, I'll just make this little 2-quart, and then I'll make different things to go with it. It could be some soup, it could be a stir fry, it could be beans, it could be, I mean, literally anything. And this would be the rice that goes with it. Believe it or not, I eat a lot. This 2-cup, it'll last me probably 4 meals, just the rice itself, because I eat it with other stuff. So nice and simple. And probably the main variant I do is like I said, in the winter I'll tend to do garam masala because I like that, I don't know, more smoky, darker, more intense flavor. And in the summer I'll do the lighter curries where it's well, makes me think of spring and refreshing. And then also in the winter I tend to do that smoky toasted coconut oil added to it. So, but let's see. Oh, I did forget. I did have some coriander seeds I could add it. That you toast it, and then if you want a little spice, you can add cayenne or roasted, red pepper flakes at the beginning. But I tend to have a lot of salsas and hot sauces, and I flavor each bite as I'm eating a little different. So, and then Fred got me addicted to the Szechuan pepper. So I got a little Szechuan pepper grinder. So, yeah. But all right, I'll show you this one last time before I wrap it up. So you can see, like the lentils are almost, so I actually, because I opened it up and let some water out, I'm gonna have to add a little water. let that steam out. You want to steam it in like. All right. See this one? See, this one's just starting to simmer. But I usually don't watch it while it cooks, so. My whole place right now smells like coconut oil, turmeric, and ginger. I'm actually surprised it doesn't smell more like garlic, but I think it's that fine powder of the turmeric and ginger that's really getting my nose. All right, thank you, everybody, and hope you will make this sometime. This has become my staple over the years as I try to have a higher protein, more plant-based diet.